Hi, everybody. Welcome to Breath and Voice Chronicles with me, Igor Siberia, and my friend, Sophia Maya.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here again. Thank you all for joining us. Hello, Igor. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully. It is starting to warm up where I am a little bit. We're getting some spring-like weather occasionally, not quite every day. As you can see, the sun is beaming in my window where normally it's dark outside. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm not in a sweatshirt. I'm in a t-shirt for a change in my house. So I'm doing really well. It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well. I'm happy to see the spring coming to everybody's home, and everything gonna start very soon if it's not already. And
Yep.
yeah, that's awesome. It's good to see the sunlight that coming and giving that vitamin B12 that we all needed, and D as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, so today would love to talk more about inner pharmacy. That is, we all have access. The way I like to look at it, that some of us know that we have it, but we actually don't have access yet. It's available,
Hmm.
and it's not. It's kind of like you are tapped into that inner pharmacy that it's available within you. It almost feels like a room that for some of us it's like door open and you walk in, it's like, yeah, okay, so today I need that and that. And what it means to me, it's that collection of inner tools that we have, that like inner wisdom that always there, like memories, something that we learn, and something we can also intuitively hop in and feel like what is the most present for me right now to make myself feel centered, present. And there's brilliant idea always gonna come in. um, How's that land for you, and what that means to you?
Well, honestly, I've never heard the term before. And it's really interesting to me because when I hear pharmacy, it makes me think of medicine. And when I think of medicine, it makes me think of outdoors, which is really my outer pharmacy. I spend a lot of time in nature because I've just learned and very intuitively guided to be outside as much as I can. So when I hear that, it makes me think of outdoors. But I understand there's a whole other context to that. And I would be interested in learning some more about it because I noticed uh, when you're doing your virtual workshops that you're using that statement. And I'd really like to understand more, especially from the context that you're sharing it with the people who join you. What does that mean? I mean, how do you really speak about that?
Yeah, well, this concept just came in my life not too long ago, like a week ago, and I was kind of like curious. It's like I never heard that before either, and start thinking and processing that. Yeah, while pharmacy it is could be related to like some medications, is what the world known, but for me it's instantly were something else, because my pharmacy it's more like holistic wellness, and then I
Right.
instantly thought about all the holistic tools that is available. But the idea of hearing like inner pharmacy is like what is available within me. It's quite often we looking for something, we like taking some programs, trainings, applications, or like going doing yoga, we guided by somebody, or just like it's very common, even going to the gym, but like when we have this moment and we pause and get able to tune in to that inner world, and in this content inner pharmacy that is there always. And why I was saying that some people have access to it and some people yet to discover that like access, something I've been talking in my workshop yesterday, because it feels like that is a room, and there is a door, and those who are keep looking and keep going elsewhere, so that pharmacy is, because everybody has it, that's no question, but like, do anybody or everybody use it? And that's where it comes that sure, it could be there, but like maybe it's in a blind spot, or people just not aware or have not remembered yet. And that's why I wanted to bring this forward, to just remind everybody to think of what is already available, because we quite often looking for something, and we find this, and we start or continue looking for something else. And it almost like never ending journey. And the question is, what are we looking for? What are you looking for? And when there's a moment that is enough, and also where's the moment that like to tap into, like tune in inside and see what's there already available. Because
Mhm.
everybody, as I see and talk to people, they're so intelligent, and they learn so much. How many books we read, how many programs we took. It's just however we were receiving information, it feels like endless. It's a whole library inside of us, but how much of course it's being used, and it's like just in a regular, but like asking yourself, in a way that you be that like inner master. It's like, I have this question, and you like look at the mirror and asking that question. What do you think?
Wow, that's wonderful because this, of course, ties to uh, beginning to trust yourself, and that ties to trusting your intuition, and that ties to allowing your intuition to get through to you. There's so much knowledge, and there's such a big difference between learning through a book and knowledge that comes to you from your own intuition. And I just actually just saw something recently that was talking about the pineal gland, and how it is literally a crystal in your brain that when it's activated by light or vibration, it really opens up a whole other avenue of, I can use the word wisdom, because it is, this is the inner compass, or this is the navigation system that we're all born with, that we may not be aware that we have, or we may be aware but we're still disconnected, like you were saying, because we don't trust it. And the difference between knowledge and knowing, or wisdom and learned knowledge, is, a lot of times when you learn something from a book, you may understand the information. It comes, you read through your eyes, it goes into your brain, and however it seeds in you or sits with you really has to do with your ability to embody it. And this is something that took me a long time to learn about, trusting that inner voice, that a lot of times, especially in the beginning, when we're coming off of a lifetime of looking externally for answers, looking externally for validation, for who am I in the world? Can you please tell me? We do it through relationships, we do it through other endeavors, and when we finally get to the point, and for me, it was a breakdown. And a lot of times, people have to go through a trauma or something like that. I started to hear my inner voice, and through that connection, to use your terminology, I discovered my inner pharmacy, because it is a never-ending resource of elixirs and healing, methodologies right built into your body, that we just don't ever understand that we carry, because we're so conditioned to look outside of ourselves for help. And we all have our own karma, and that is a whole other subject matter, because it's all tied to the karma that you brought into your life. But when you're able to have that pineal gland activated by either your soul, in my case, the pineal gland is referred to as a third eye. And when I was told early on that I had a very powerful third eye, and I mean early on in my awakening, I had no idea what that meant. What I've come to understand, I think this might help a lot of people too, is that a powerful third eye, or an awakened third eye, is really our ability just to see ourselves as an observer in our own lives. So what that means is we no longer are attached to every little intricate interaction or outcome and it doesn't really control the joy in our lives. It's really, we look at that as life is more of an experiment or an exercise, something to learn from. And when you start to think of life that way, it's literally like going inside your body in a peaceful moment and finding the answer to every question you could ever have. Why is the sky blue? Where do babies come from? You know, why am I sad? Why aren't I abundant? Why am I in a bad relationship? Why do I hate my job? All of those questions that we spend our lifetime searching for the answer are in our inner pharmacy. So it's really is a subject matter that is as big as the universe, because we are technically as big as the universe. We're an embodiment of all of the wisdom and the consciousness that exists in the universe. We are but a spark of it. So understanding that we have that tool, and the doorway into that pharmacy is our intuition. At least that's what I would say. In our inner wisdom, which we cannot learn in books. It doesn't matter how many books you read. You can certainly be inspired by content or a speaker or material. But when you talk about inner pharmacy, it really is an understanding that if you let go of all the perceived lifelines, and they are just perceived, whether it be a person or a situation, uh, and you really fall, but you fall into yourself. And when you learn to let go and allow that fall to take place, is when you really understand what you're capable of, and what is available to you as a sentient being in this molecular structure, all by yourself in the world. Because we're really not alone at all. The wisdom of the universe is, we embody it. We just have to tap into it. So that to me, the intuition is really the gateway into that inner pharmacy. And the only way for the intuition to be heard over the white static or the white noise of our lives is to slow down and to pause and to really value your own time and your own company, which really is the most difficult thing for most of us. It was for me too, is getting used to my own company and then beginning to appreciate it. And then I began to prefer it. And that's when everything really turned around for me.
Yeah, I really love that. It's a moment when you, and for me as well, it was moment that I was connecting even more to my like inner child.
Mm.
Spending time with yourself. I had similar, like everybody else, a moment of being uncomfortable and was trying to externally validate and looking and going somewhere, and in a way it was not clear, but literally it was a distraction because it was taking me elsewhere, because I couldn't at the time couldn't spend time with myself. It was hard until I learned. I don't blame myself because like I've been in a relationship for a long time, and I got into relationship after I was living with the parents. So like I literally never been by myself. So it was just that moment that in my life that's been given to me to learn. It was a beautiful moment because when I got a chance to learn how to spend time with myself, I discovered so many golden pieces that been forgotten, that been missing, and those pieces that make me or who I am today because I discovered them. And lately, and it's kind of like a thing that comes and goes. Sometimes that was the moment that I rediscovered how to be with myself, and then life came on, and I'm like I felt that I was still there, but I found that uh, I start missing something. And most recently, because when I start looking for it, almost like a subtle unconscious, like a wave of me looking for some kind of validation, and I start noticing that, I was like, what am I? But because now I can ask those questions, I love how you
Right.
said of being curious and asking those questions instead of going and looking, asking like, what am I looking for there? What am I receiving there? And that's where the answer came. I was like, oh. And so once I realized what that was, I was like, now I would love to bring that to myself from myself. And that is the moment when I start connecting. I notice that little disconnection from my inner child that I connected in the past and went different direction, and then that reconnection, that playfulness that I brought and added, uh, fully complete these pieces, and I start feeling like great. I like, oh, I could see that I just I connected, I tapped into that inner pharmacy, that I just figured that out. As I like how you said elixirs, and it's kind of like mixing those up until you find the perfect mixture. You're drinking, it's like, oh, that feels so good. I was like, I'm healed,
Mm.
complete. I feel more whole, like more complete after that venture experience.
And that's a really crucial element because when you find your playfulness again, and I went through the same thing. I forgot that I was a child. And that is really wisdom that we forget because when babies are born, they are full of curiosity and wonder. Life is a dream and an adventure. They don't know any better. It's when we start to learn fear and pain and we become insecure that we start to shut down that inner world and we forget that we are these amazing beings who have I mean, we are referred to in a lot of lore as gods, human beings as gods, but we forgot how powerful we are. And I'll give you an example of this. Well, just really quickly, so I don't forget what I was going to say, is as we remember our inner child, we're reconnected with that natural curiosity and that playfulness and that really wonderment and awe of being alive, which is something that's returned to me after nearly 60 years of living in what I refer to as my shadow self or the dark forest or part of our lives that we have to overcome. And when I went into that childlike phase, which I live in now, I discovered my purpose because I was able to let go of all the ideas that I had about what I should be doing, who should I be at this point. I held on to my relationship with my ex-husband 9 years longer than I needed to because of my need to be validated through that union. I had no idea what I was missing out on. I had really lost all wonder, all my ability to be amazed at the universe and the magical elements of our lives and my ethereal self, which is my soul. And I forgot all that. So when I started to remember that, I was able to tap into not only my creativity, where I started writing and then a podcast and now a second podcast with this wonderful guy, Igor. But I found my purpose through that, which is sharing everything that I've gone through with my voice. And it's an endless source of inspiration and creativity that I am now connected to at a core level because I rejoined my child and I was able to bring her forward and live through her, which is full of wonder and awe and no longer beaten down by, all the pain and I had to endure as an adult and even as a child that helped me or made me forget who I was. But I'm this incredible, powerful being. We all are. We just forget. And when you connect to that child, you get to be reminded and you honestly get a do-over. You get to live your life so much more differently. I mean, look at you, Igor. I mean, you came from another country as a young man into this other place. You had to learn the language. You had to really assimilate in ways I can't even imagine. And look what you've done. You're living from your core, from your creativity. And I'm just so in awe of you, as I am of myself and anyone that I see reaching out from the depths of their old shadowy selves and finding that it's a brilliant world when you connect to that inner pharmacy, when you connect to your wisdom and you allow yourself to shed all the weight and the masks and the lies about who we are as a human. It's a brilliant, brilliant awakening. And I guess that's what awakening really is. You get to live as a child and you get to enjoy your life in a way most people never get to even see.
Yeah, I would like to reveal the secret of all of it for everybody. It's it's simple, yet it's might be difficult. But the secret is the only way through is through that pain, the pain that's been given to us for a reason. And
Right.
the longer we're trying to run away or numb it with addictions, with wherever it's present, you call it, you, everybody knows what's theirs. But the moment you get a chance to go in that, I love that metaphor you brought up, dark forest, the
Hmm.
shadow, and
Yeah.
see all of it and like start transmuting and understanding and start changing and improving and actually even loving it, because
Yeah.
we made of both light and dark, because there's no light
Hmm.
without darkness. So once you
Right.
start like finding and bringing that into your life, into your dance, instead of running it away, that's kind of like a moment that you start seeing that uh, beam of light that come into that dark
Right.
forest, and you start seeing that direction to go to, until you actually find that bright path that you stepping on into, where everything is just well, there's a lot of joy and happiness, and of course there would be some challenges, but the life, the human life, is like full, it has a full spectrum of all of it. What's being changed for both of us and those who get on the path, it's you looking at those challenges from a whole different perspective. You start
Right.
welcoming them. You're like, oh, I see you, and I know you talking to me, you trying to tell me something. Instead of running away as we used to, we get a moment to sit down and to reflect, to journal, to talk to yourself in the mirror and just ask the right questions. And sometimes it could be just a friend that you can share what you're going through. And sometimes it could be in nature. It's so many ways of reflecting. But the idea is to just pause and see that and find the answers within.
So brilliant because I get excited. I mean, I'm like all tingly, and I know that's maybe a little bit weird, but this is really what excites me is talking about this because it's such a simple concept, but it's the most difficult thing as humans we'll ever have to do is overcome ourselves. But when you really start to get that third eye perspective, which again is the pineal gland, which is a crystal in our brains that is activated when we raise our vibrations or we intend to, it helps us. Then we start to see things as they really are. And this is why I refer to our lives as most of our lives as the 3D matrix, because we are navigating a virtual reality. And when we start to realize that and we start to see ourselves as an observer having a virtual reality experience, we can really disconnect from the pain and the insecurity and from the worry and fear that grow like weeds in our little garden of life and choke out the roses because there's too many weeds. It is a brilliant view. It's like sitting on top of a mountain and watching the world down below. You get to see everything that's happening at once, and you don't connect yourself too deeply to any one thing. It is a broad, beautiful, cosmic perspective of your life. And you get the gift of the third eye awakening when you show your intention to your soul that you want to start doing the inner work. And I say inner work and it sounds like a job, but when you start doing it, nothing else matters more to you. And you will shave off every part of your life to give yourself the time to do it. It doesn't require books. It doesn't require learning. It doesn't require anything except for absolute stillness and your desire to learn who you are in your darkest corners. And it's not all that scary. It's all it is the karma that we brought in that we need to heal. And then, another thing that people don't realize readily is that when you don't look at your own karma or you don't look at your darkness, you mirror it out in the world and you attract everything that comes to you from that dark place. So, and what that does, it's not the universe punishing you for not looking at your inner self. It's the universe sending you help. Because if I attract, let's say, my ex-husband, who was a karmic soulmate, and I don't understand why I'm being treated the way that I am being treated, and why do I feel the way I do, and why is this person doing this to me? When I was able to turn around and say, why am I subjected to this? What is within me that attracted this? And this was the turning point for me. I started having epiphanies or revelations every morning. I would wake up going, whoa, that's why that happened to me, because it's my tendency to do that. And it's just such an incredible experience when you start realizing, having revelations, which is your higher self basically knocking you on the head and saying, here's some wisdom for you. When you start to pull that wisdom in your body and you start to embody it instead of resist it, like you were saying, is when you really get all the help you need from your soul tribe, which are souls around you that are helping, guiding you through in your life. And of course, the highest version of yourself, who is not attached to a body, who's not worried about the ego or the brain or fear or insecurities. They're just clean, pure energy or trying to help you live your highest version. It all starts to flood into your body as wisdom and intuition. And you are then guided the rest of the way. So every step on that illuminated path gets illuminated with each step. It's a brilliant thing to experience. And this is the reason why I was able to live my life completely differently after, guys, I was almost 60. Come on. You know what I mean? There's never too late. So
Yeah.
it really is just an idea that starts to spark an inspiration. And when you start to listen to that inspiration and take an action from that inspired thought or feeling, and not from the fear or the ego, which is so loud. It's like white noise, is when you really start to understand how your inner pharmacy gets stocked, where all of the cabinets are, where the different places that you need to look for your answers, and you become a real expert at your own inner world, your inner landscape, and you no longer fear silence or stillness or your own company. Because until you can enjoy your own company, you can never enjoy someone else's. And still until you learn to love yourself, you can never love another person, because it takes self-love to love someone else. And it's a whole other episode. Maybe we'll do that next. But I just want to make that clear. It's really just a choice in the beginning, a choice to listen to something other than the white noise. And then you're guided from there. It is not difficult. It might not be easy to experience when you have to look at yourself in a way that you've never looked at yourself before. For example, I had to realize that there was a very big emptiness inside of me, which is what attracted an emotionally vacant partner. And I just want to make that clear. I was treated the way anybody would be treated by somebody who didn't have empathy or compassion. But it was because I reflected that out into the world, because I had a part of me that was completely empty in my body, in my heart, which was completely closed. So there is an answer, even though it may not even be fathomable to you before you start looking. But everything starts with us. And until we start looking there, we're never going to find it.
Yeah, and I have to say that everything outside, what everybody experience, it's a reflection of what is happening directly inside. It's exactly what Sophia and I was just talking. Like, and this is the way, wherever you're not happy with in other people, each of that person, each of that event is like a mirror. That another way to say, like, universe trying to show you there is something it like reflect to you. Quite often it's just we not realizing that that is in there until either we immerse ourselves in that kind of experience, or like we're gonna have a guide, a friend, or like actual professional who can like to help you to see those, start seeing those things, and start realizing that it's like, oh, it is actually not them but it's me. And I have a good example of that. When I moved to my place that I live across the road, my neighbor has a dog, and dog's job is to protect, and they like to bark. Well, I'm saying that, but every time I would kind of like I have to park by the gate, open the gate, and the dog would bark at me, and and for a year. I can't believe that that was happening for a year. I was so mad and angry at that dog because he barks all the time, every time I'm there. It's like, on the other hand, it's good that he, like, I hear somebody nearby, so because he helps to keep everything protected. But year I've been holding that a feeling in me, and I have this plant medicine ceremony that she just brought up this whole new perspective. It was ayahuasca, but she showed me that, well, like she was like she it was kind of like she prompted me questions like, but what did you do to have you tried to build up a connection with this dog, or like build any relationship outside of just being mad at it? And it was such a aha moment that I'm like, you're right. I never even tried. I've been just mad at that dog. Poor dog. He's just being dog. And I'm just so grateful because after that ceremony, I got treats. And every time I would park, I would come and give him a treat. And over time, I met kids of that house, and they told me that his name's Sam. So now me and Sam, we are good friends. Every time he sees me, he's just like so excited. And it makes me so happy. And it's just a good example of like, oh, I could live the rest of my life being angry at that dog because I couldn't see that actually it's not the dog that was the problem. It was inside of me. And the moment that I was able to see that, it changed everything. And you can imagine how much more bright and happiness and easiness I brought into my life, and happily living there for 4 years now. So 3 more years, I feel like I extended my life time because less of the anger that is inside of me.
And that's a perfect example. I'm so glad you described that because that's what the universe is doing, sending you an opportunity to overcome that karma. Either you go deeper into it. So if you would have stayed angry at that dog and just got lowered your vibration more and more and more in order to accommodate the the irritation that is meant to help you see that your irritation is inside of you. It has nothing to do with that dog. So our
And
choice is, do we go inside and look at ourselves like you finally were able to see that through your plant medicine, uh, you know, event? And or do I keep going deeper into this karma and cause myself stress and pain, which is going to express itself in my health eventually, and of course the way other people feel about me when I'm yelling at the dog and things like that. But that's exactly how the universe works. It's not a punishment. It is an opportunity for you to look at something that is irritating you or is an agitation in your life. And when you look at that and say, okay, how does that reflect inside of me? And instead of yelling at the dog, you go into your house and you close your eyes and you sit in your own self. The answer will rise up in your body when you give it the time and the opportunity, and then you can acknowledge it and release it. And guess what happens? You never ever have to deal with that particular karma ever again, because what you just did was transmute it, like you were saying. That's how you transmute something that's negative in your body, by allowing it to rise up into your awareness, which you have to do through a peaceful stillness opportunity, and then allowing the feeling to come with it, because it's going to bring an emotion with it, whether it's anger or sadness or whatever. And then you purge it out through either crying or yelling or physical activity. And what you've just done was transmute a negative karma in your body, or a demon or a dragon, however you want to refer to it. And then it never ever comes back again. That's how it works. It's so simple, but it's the most difficult thing for us to actually do because we're so afraid of slowing down. Don't you
yeah,
think?
I do, yeah. And I to help everybody else, I want to just, with you, Sophia, to kind of give people example of questions that they could ask when the things rise up and there is something that is being triggered, you know. And something that I would ask is, in the moment of slowing down, it's like, okay, I could see that, and there's something in there for me. And so, like, one of the first questions I ask myself, like, what is there for me? What is in that moment that triggers me? What I can look in myself, in to deeper process that. And I want to kind of like brainstorm with you, and maybe you can share what you asking yourself in those moments, so we can help audience to have these tools available and questions.
Yeah, and that's a great question because it's different for everyone. Just let me say that first. It's going to be different for everyone. But for me, I tend to process things overnight. So I would sit, let's say I was triggered by somebody, and a trigger is another opportunity. It is not that person triggered me bad on them. It is that triggered something inside of me. I have to look and examine what that is. So if I'm triggered by, let's say, somebody says something negative to me, I don't like the way you look today. And I'm like, well, through you, or whatever. And then I go sit with that in the evening and I say, why did I respond that way? What is it? And then I will say, please come up in my body so I can look directly at you and then I can acknowledge you and then release you. Because really it is a ceremony. You have to go through a process of releasing. And
Yeah.
then what usually with me, I would go to sleep and in the morning I would wake up with a revelation. This is how my process works. And this is my higher self who works with me through the nighttime when I sleep. And when I wake up, my idea might be, why am I so sensitive about my appearance? What is it that caused that trigger? And then allows me to come to terms with it. Well, there's nothing wrong with my appearance. So I might have things about me I don't love, but overall, I love myself. Why would I allow that to make me feel triggered? What is what's wrong with me? And there's nothing wrong, just so you know. It's just something in your body that needs to be examined and then acknowledged and then released. It's really like a vapor. It's stuck in your energy. And when you release it like breath, Igor, which is a
Yeah.
great, really way to put it, and why your work is so important, when you release it in that breath, you're releasing it from your energetic body and it no longer populates as emotional debris. So that is really my process. I have to usually wait overnight, but I'm always waiting and ready for the answer. And I ask myself, whenever you're ready, I'm ready. I want to know what it is. I'm looking for those opportunities. It's when you really busy yourself to the point where you could never hear your inner wisdom that you're running from, like you said, running from the answer. It's when you stop and actually take it in and allow yourself to feel the emotion that's attached to it. That's really the vehicle for that negative energy or that imprint of pain or trauma to be released from your body through crying or anger. For me, I did a lot of crying. I mean, I could fill buckets, but I would never change a moment of that because that was me purging out negative energy from my body, which I then integrated back as light and power, which became my voice. It's just an extraordinary process. What do you think,
Beautiful.
Igor? Does that sound familiar, or was your process, or is your process different?
Yeah, I was going to say it's a beautiful, like, kind of ending point to wrap it up because I wanted to share a very simple, short process of what I
Sure.
usually do. And it's actually well connected to like how you process in overnight and as you talk about emotions. And just, are you cool? You want to add something else before I begin? And I feel like we can wrap it up with that. Yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
So,
Yes.
right, because that's going to just summarize, and also that's kind of like tools that we share of our life that you can include in your inner pharmacy, that is always be with you and see, because there's so many ways of doing things, and how you do it, you can always like what we giving here is just in ideas, and if that resonates with you, please use it, take it, have it, let just help you. And if it's not, then just keep looking and find something that is helping you. Maybe for some of you it would be just journaling, or again, like finding a good person who can listen, that you can actually talk and process those things and have a reflection. So here's the process, and of course, it's connected to the breathing and the breath. But normally, when something is being triggered, as we talk in another episode, our body is intelligent, and there is something happening in the body, and so I would invite everybody at this moment. Let's experiment that. So let's close our eyes and just think about a moment most recent, that's something that triggered us. It could be even in the past. Find something, one moment. So once you anchor that moment, you see that moment, and just quickly scan your body and find in the body any discomfort that you feel it right now, wherever first come, wherever it's like alive, the most vivid, the most present, that's the place. And you feel like there's nothing is in your body, just, I scan one more time and see, start paying even more close attention and see if there's any discomfort. Sometimes it presents itself in a pain, chronic pain. Sometimes it could be something more subtle. Once you found that point in your body, um, bring your awareness there. For me, it's in my lower back on the right side. And so I'm bringing my awareness to that point. And so now we're going to breathe into that point. So the way we do that is just by keeping your awareness there and just take inhale and imagine how that inhale goes through your nose or through the mouth and goes all the way to that point, connecting to that point, releasing that point, and exhale. And with the exhale, imagine how that pain being melted away and how that pain being released together with the carbon dioxide. And so let's continue breathing. Take another deep inhalation to that point. Hold your breath this time. Allow for that energy to expand that pain, to break through that discomfort. And exhale once again. Breathe out, releasing that. Let's have few more. Now you know the technique. Continue breathing to that point. Exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. And now with the next inhale, hold your breath. Allowing for the final healing process to happen. Allowing to release all that tension that at that point, at that part of your body. And exhale, release, and let that all go. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Sophia Mai, thank you. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation. Beautiful session.
Thank you so much, Igor. I'm always so inspired to talk to you. I appreciate this so much. And thank you again to all who have joined us. And we hope to see you out there again.
Yes. Until next time, have a good day, everybody.
Till next time. Till next time. Thank you.